Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome back to the Fumble Live. So happy that you're all in here today. We have some news for you about Steph Curry, as well as James Harden and Russell Westbrook, and the things that need to happen in order to get James Harden out of Houston. Let's get into that. But first, subscribe to our channel, tap the bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment below, and share it with your friends. You know the drill, you guys. Here's the Fumble Squad. I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward.
Happy Friday, everybody. I'm Jackie Ray. You can follow me everywhere at JRay the Fanatic.
Hey up, guys. It is the last day of me being all wonky, so I'll be back Monday. It's your girl, Britt Johnson. You guys can follow me on all social media at I am Britt Johnson. Just a warning, guys, if you're just tuning in for the first time this week, I have bad connection. I am on my phone. I can't see anybody, so if I look a little cuckoo, that is why. Bear with me.
I think I speak for both me and Jackie when I say we are so excited for you to have a better connection, Britt. So looking forward to Monday for sure.
For sure.
You have no idea how crazy it is to talk to you guys. I can't see you guys, or to talk about like a video or a picture that you guys are looking at that I can't see. And I can't really see myself either. So it's really weird. It's very weird. So I am with you guys.
Yeah, I can imagine. That would be very difficult. You're just having to imagine or listen to whatever's playing. So that would be really hard. But you killed it yesterday. You're going to kill it again today. So no issues there. But you guys, let's jump right into this first news story, okay? So obviously we learned this week that Klay Thompson is out with a season-ending injury. This is devastating not only for him, but for the Warriors as well, because they were counting on having a healthy Klay and a healthy Steph back up to front the team again. So the real question here is Steph able to carry the Warriors? Obviously, with Klay Thompson out, more of the responsibility is going to be falling on Steph's shoulders. We've seen single athletes carry teams in the past. We've seen LeBron James do it. James Harden has done it. Chris Paul did it this past season. He got OKC far into the playoffs. But does Steph have what it really takes? And I guess another big question is, does he have enough support surrounding him in Draymond Green, Kelly Oubre Jr., Andrew Wiggins, and James Wiseman? This is Steph's opportunity to really prove what he's made of, but he needs himself and his teammates to all stay ultra focused on that same goal. Personally, I think he will be able to carry the team and do a great job at it. I do think he does have a strong enough supporting cast to get them where they want to go. But Britt, do you feel that Steph has what it takes to carry the Warriors? What are your thoughts in general about the future of the Golden State team?
Now, I know my internet might be a little wonky, but you said Steph Curry, right? The two-time NBA MVP Steph Curry. Of course he has enough of what it takes to carry a team. If he had to do that, I don't think. And because of the pieces to the puzzle that you just mentioned here, we have the number 2 overall pick, James White. I already talked about this. He is going to be great immediately on this team for them. We have 2017 Defensive Player of the Year, Draymond Green, that will be on that team as well. You have Kelly Oubre Jr. that's just joining the team now. I think he's going to be a great role player for them. You have Andrew. We've seen him in different systems before. He was a top draft pick when he was selected as well. Like, these guys are not scrubs. We're not talking about squad from the 2018 season that literally nobody knew any of their names. We're not talking about the Memphis Grizzlies from this last season with Durant and nobody knew anybody else's name on that team. Like, if John Morant can carry the Memphis Grizzlies like he did this last season, Steph Curry, being a 2-time MVP, should not have a problem doing it. And again, like I said, I don't think it's going to be a situation where he's carrying a team. We're not going to see the 3-time NBA championship Golden State Warriors this season. Yes, the playing field is finally going to be level, as it should have always been. So we're just going to see a regular basketball team competing like everybody else, instead of seeing, like, you know, the Monstars going against the Toon people. You know, like, we're going to see even basketball. We're going to see level playing basketball, and that's what we should have seen in the beginning in the first place. So I think Steph should do well. I think the Warriors will still do well. I never, obviously, I love Klay Thompson, as most of us do, but I never thought he had to be on a team for them to be a decent team. Obviously, last year they were missing both Steph and both Klay, which hurt them and gave them that number 2 pick now. So now they have another superstar on their team. So I think it should be a question is if Steph's going to carry the team. It's just going to be where in the seeding are they going to lie, because I definitely think they'll still make the playoffs. But they're not going to win a championship this year. That's just what it is.
I like the point that you made about the playing field being level now, because it really is. We don't have the Warriors as this mega super team like we saw them in the championship last year. So I think that this year it is going to be interesting to see how teams level up and match up. And I totally agree with you. Steph for sure has what it takes. And like I said before, the supporting cast that he has, the people around him on the roster, I think it's definitely going to make it so that they are winning games, but yeah, maybe not that championship. Jackie, if Steph is not able to carry the team, hypothetical here, do you think that it will damage his reputation as an athlete? Do you think people will start to wonder if he's losing steam a little bit?
So I love all of Britt's points. I agree with her on most of them. I actually don't think Steph is going to be able to carry this team, though. I think that Steph on numerous occasions has told us how easy he has it, because if he has an off night, it's just an off night because somebody else will pick him up. This is a situation now where, yes, he does have they're going to have to win as a team. It's not going to be Steph carrying this team at all. They're going to have to definitely do it the Spurs way, where there's no superstars on the team. Everybody's just out there getting it done, because we've seen Steph have off nights, but he's still out there having fun. He's still having fun because he knows he's got somebody to pick him up and carry him. This is not that situation. Steph needs to be on most of the time. I do think he has a good supporting cast, but Draymond's getting older. You know, we have some new pieces over there that they're going to have to kind of work into the system. Will that happen right away? I don't know. So I don't know if he's going to be able to carry this team because, again, he's not used to this. He's not used to having to be on 100% of the time. And let's not forget, he's also coming back from an injury. So this is something he's going to have to mentally work through as well. So it can't be all on him. If it's all on him, then they might not even get seeded, to be honest. So if they play as a team and if they do very well together, I think that they'll be fine. And I don't think any of us would look at Steph differently if he did struggle, because again, he's coming off of this injury. They got some new pieces. Draymond is older. So I don't think we would look at him differently. We would just look at him and say, oh, he's never actually had to play under these circumstances. Maybe I don't think I've ever considered him a beast in that regard. I've always thought, yeah, he's dope when it comes to what he does. He does what he does very, very well, but I've never considered him one of those people that have that dog mentality kind of thing. So I think we'll just look at him the same. But again, this is going to have to be a team effort, in my opinion. This can't fall all on Steph, because then it won't work.
Good points. Good points. Well, for those of you who are tuning in to the chat, let us know what you think. Does Steph have what it takes to carry the team? And is he even really going to need to carry the team, or is he going to be able to rely on his teammates more than some people are expecting? So sound off in the chat. And now let's move on to another team that's been in the headlines every single day for the last 2 weeks, the Houston Rockets. So obviously they are expected to undergo a complete rebuild in the off season. Russell Westbrook wants to leave, James Harden wants to leave, and they're working to offload Russ. But they are making it so that they have to get rid of Russ before they even consider trading James Harden. So even though there was that verbal deal made that would send James to the Nets, none of that is going to happen if they can't get rid of Russ. So according to Sports Illustrated, quote, teams have been probing the Rockets about James Harden in recent days, though Houston has been reluctant to fully engage per league sources. The Rockets will engage on Westbrook, but interest for the All-Star has warm at best. It's unlikely Houston deals Harden without having a landing spot for Westbrook, which could prove exceedingly difficult. And one of the reasons why that would be so difficult is because he is set to pocket just under $132 million over the next 3 years. And I think that's caused a lot of teams to shy away from signing him. The Knicks and the Hornets emerged as two potential landing spots for him, but since the Hornets just picked up LaMelo Ball, their interest has lessened in Russ, and the Knicks haven't been engaging as enthusiastically as hoped. So, Jackie, if the Rockets are not able to offload Russ, do you really think they'd keep an unhappy James Harden on the roster? Would that even serve them well?
No, it absolutely would not serve them well. I think the Spurs taught us what it's like to have a superstar on your squad that doesn't want to be there. He's going to end up getting some sort of doctor's note, just like Kawhi did, or something like that. But I just don't know how petty this organization is. You know what I mean? Because the way that this has been handled, I might be that petty. I'm be like, okay, since I'm going to have to rebuild my whole squad anyway. If I lose Russ, if I lose James Harden, I'm in a rebuild phase anyway. So yeah, I might be petty enough to say, hey, I don't have to deal you out. But if I do that, I have to know that neither one of them are going to play. They'll probably come get, like I said, some weird doctor's note, or one of them will stub their toe really, really hard and just be like, oh, I can't walk because I got this hangnail or something like that. So it is in their best interest to deal them off as soon as possible. I don't think ultimately it'll be that hard to get rid of Russ, and I hate to say that, deal him off eventually. He does have that big contract. I understand that the places that you said aren't interested in him, and I'm glad the Knicks aren't interested in him as much right now. But he'll find a landing spot, and then it's just all up to Houston and what Houston wants to do and how petty they want to be, because I can literally see them being a little bit petty because Russ only 1 year in on his 2-year deal, and he's like, no, I'm out. James Harden, he's said I'm a Rocket for life, and now he's out. So I just don't know what their level of petty is, but I think everybody needs to keep in mind that Houston holds all the cards right now. They don't have to deal anybody out if they don't want to. It's all up to how bad they think this is going to impact their franchise, but their franchise is going to be impacted either way. So I don't think they'll have a problem dealing out Russ. It's just how diligent they're going to be in trying to broker that deal. Somebody will pick up Russ for sure. He's an asset to any team that he goes to.
It's interesting that you mention this pettiness, and normally I would agree with you, but I think under these circumstances where Russ is just 1 year in and now there's a new GM, there's a new head coach, so many changes have happened, I feel like the Rockets don't even really necessarily have a right to be petty at this point, because this isn't the team that he went to initially. Sure, maybe it will be better moving forward, but he's obviously just feeling like he can't stick around anymore. He's not going to achieve what he wants to achieve.
Pettiness isn't about being right. It's about being petty.
True. Reminding me. I'm still getting used to my petty ways, but you're right. Okay, Britt, is there a way that the Rockets can make both stars happy? And if so, what do you feel it is, or that is?
Oh, she can't hear us.
Oh, she can't hear us anymore?
Yes.
Shoot,
She can't hear us.
okay.
She said, text her the question.
Text her the question?
Yes. This is so funny.
Okay, Britt, is there any way that the Rockets can make both stars happy?
The fact that you said it while you were typing.
Okay, I got it. Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
yes.
Question. Okay. So the Rockets can make both stars both go. Obviously, believe that they both don't want to. I mean, they have both said that they don't want to be in that situation or be there any longer. I don't think that there's any. I mean, they got rid of the coach, they got rid of the GM. They've been moving pieces around there, and still both of the guys want to go somewhere else. Especially with Russell Westbrook's contract and him being owed $131 million over the next 3 years. Go to a team that doesn't have a lot of other pieces to the puzzle over there. And so will he win a championship with another team? Probably not. So I think it is kind of like a weird space for him to be in, because he is 32 years old. And I'm sure he does want, the opportunity to win a ring before he's finished playing. After this contract's over, he'll be 35 years old, and how much more basketball, if any, does he have left playing at the high level? We all know Russell Westbrook is a very energetic guy. How much longer is he going to be able to keep that up? So I feel like both of them need and want to leave, but where they go, I think, is also just as important. They need to be able to go somewhere where they feel like they can actually make an impact and win a championship and do this, that, and the third. You don't have enough to have people come in to build that with the Rockets at this point. So the Rockets kind of just need to start from scratch again, get rid of both of these huge contracts and start trying to figure a way to, rebuild the team. It'll probably three or 4 years before we see the Rockets kind of even in the playoffs anymore, if they do get rid of James Harden and Russell Westbrook. But I don't see any way in the current state of the team, with the money that they have left and whatever the case is and what they have to get rid of, that they can actually make these guys both happy and both want to stay.
Yeah, I definitely see what you're saying, and I agree with you completely. They've made it abundantly clear that they're ready to go, and I don't think anything that happens is going to make them feel good staying. Jackie, I know, so Britt was talking about like where Russell Westbrook could even go. Do you have any teams in mind that you think would be a good fit for him? I know you said that you don't like the Knicks or the Hornets, so any other team that's top of mind for you right now?
I don't dislike the Hornets for him, but it's just now that they've got LaMelo, I just don't, I know they just needed that star power over there. It might not be a horrible thing to get that veteran over there that can also help with that situation. I don't know where else I would want him to go, to be honest. I haven't given it much thought, just because I'm just kind of waiting to see where the rumors lie and what Houston really wants to do. Cleveland's completely trash. They could probably take anybody and that would help. So maybe he could go over there. I did initially think that the Knicks or the Hornets would be the best fit for him. I just know that they're probably leaning away from that now. So I haven't really given it much thought outside of that, where he would go. But I think now that he's open on the market, and like Britt said, his contract is the problem. It's not the player, it's the contract. So I haven't looked to see who has enough money. I have to do a little bit more research on that, because I just don't know who has the money to pick that up.
Britt, what do you think about where Russ could end up? Any teams that feel like good fits to you?
Honestly, this is shooting for the stars here, but I would love to see him with the Miami Heat. We know the Miami Heat is huge for free agency. They do have a couple big pieces that they could actually trade out in order to get Russell Westbrook. Plus, they have tons of left. So I think him joining, Jimmy Butler in that situation, I think that would be great. I honestly, they would love to see that. I think they would be huge contenders in the Eastern Conference. That is something that, honestly, they would have to trade quite a few people, obviously, to get that deal. Or maybe they can, do a money exchange. We always forget to mention that when we're talking about trades, like the Miami Heat or the Rockets could offer them some money as well in order to get rid of Russell Westbrook and get them off of their bag. And I think, honestly, those two guys and just their grit and their love for the game, and they both, are trying to win a championship, trying to do some stuff. I think Miami Heat, just because we've been talking mostly as far as free agency is concerned for this off season, but why not see a big trade happen there too? I think that's something that honestly could really catapult that team to the necessary. They were barely a hop, skip, and a jump away, not from possibly winning an NBA championship themselves. So, and then obviously we know they suffered injuries in the NBA finals and stuff like that. So, why not try to shoot for the stars and get Russell Westbrook on the squad?
Yeah, actually, Kevin.
That one, I don't know about that one, just because I like that squad as it is, and you'd have to move just money-wise. Like you said, they could make some other things happen, but I just wouldn't want to see them sacrifice too much to get Westbrook over there, because I think that they're, as a squad right now, they've got something good going. Yes, they need another piece, but not in order. I just wouldn't want them to get that other piece by sacrificing too many of the pieces they already have.
Yeah.
I don't know about that one.
I would agree. I would rather, instead of getting rid of people, I would rather see some cash exchanged or some draft selections exchanged to get Russell Westbrook. I wouldn't want to see this squad change that much, even though quite a few of the guys are up for free agency right now. But whatever, I mean, name Drodrick, he's gone. I don't want to see him anyway. That relieves a whole bunch of their money. So I think be able to make something happen. And because the Rockets are a team that's going to be starting from scratch again and needing to rebuild, I think they would be okay with exceeding, X amount of draft picks in the next 5 years or so from them in order to solidify building their team in their rebuild, so they might not even have to, like, to your point, Jackie, they could possibly get away with maybe just trading one or two players and then some draft picks in order to get Russell Westbrook.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the chat seems to also agree that Miami could be a good fit for him, like you said, Britt. But let us know if you guys have any other thoughts in the chat. And now let's move on into the post-up.
Okay. All right. So it's time for post-up super cute edition. Everything that we have today, well, there's one that's not so cute, but everything else we have today is super cute. You guys know the draft happened. We just talked about LaMelo Ball a little bit. Now, I just want to show you guys really quick. He posted this where he actually wrote a poem when he was a kid that's all about basketball. It's so cute. My guess it's probably about first grade or something like that, given the paper that it was on. But I am going to read this to you because it doesn't rhyme very well. But he was a child when he wrote this, and it's just super cute. It's called I Am, and he says, I am athletic and awesome. I wonder if ghosts are real. I hear bombs exploding. I see my mom making tacos. I want to be in the NBA. I am athletic and awesome. I pretend to make a slam dunk. I feel that angels are real. I touch the angels in heaven. I worry about getting an F. I cry when my family members die. I am athletic and awesome. I understand the game of basketball. I say God is real. I dream about going to the NBA. I hope I will be successful. I am athletic and awesome. I think that is the cutest thing for him, and his little face in the picture. That is just the cutest thing in the world to me. I thought that he just tugged at my heartstrings a little bit. I'm excited about this poem just to see him actually achieve his dreams, but maybe I'm just nostalgic like that. Devin, what do you think? I thought this was so cute.
I think it's really cute too. My parents kept a lot of my old poems and drawings and stuff like that. And I always thought that I was really good at poetry when I was little. I wasn't. They read a lot like LaMelo. So I think this is very sweet. It makes me feel, it tugs at my heartstrings too.
It doesn't have to be good when you're a kid. It's just the fact that he already had this vision and it came about now. Oh, I just thought it was super, super cute. So if that didn't tug at your heartstrings, this next one probably will, because I think we all love animals a lot. We all know John Morant. He won the unanimously Rookie of the Year. Well, not unanimously. It was 99 out of 100 votes. He missed it by one. I was not that one. And the Memphis Zoo has decided to honor him by giving him this adorable tribute in animal form. Just take a look at this really quick. No, that's not that's when he meets him. Asset one is when they actually do.
Good evening and welcome to the excitement of the animal kingdom and the Memphis Zoo. Let's meet the newest member of the Memphis Zoo roster. At 6'3" and 140 pounds, here is John Ralph.
His name is John Ralph. Wait, okay, Devin, if you like that, watch when you hear when John meets him, how he just goes, boop. It's the cutest. Now you can throw that other one up.
Oh.
You got it.
Boop. Oh.
The face, like, bruh, did you just touch my nose? Why are you touching my nose? Oh,
I
cute.
am so jealous. I'm so jealous of Ja right now. Like, it hurts. I want to boop a giraffe like that. Oh God, that's so cute.
I love giraffes. I've gone to a couple of safaris where I got to feed giraffes. It freaked me out the first time, but they're just the cutest. I love this so much. That's the best way to get honored. He's lucky. I'm right with you, Devin. I'm super, super jealous. But you guys know, so we just had the draft. Every single year, we have one of these draft videos that come out that talk about things that happened outside of their birth year, or maybe when they were really young. And they always ask these athletes these crazy questions. They throw up stuff and say, do you know what this is? And they never do, even though some stuff I feel like is still in movies or whatever, but they never know what it is. I figure some things are just iconic. Like there's some things from the 20s that are just iconic, you know what I mean? But apparently not. So I'm going to show you this one where LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards, and several of the new draftees were trying to figure out this. It's called Guess the 90s. I stress 90s, and just listen to some of their answers. They knew the name of the game when they went into it, but just listen to some of their answers really quick.
I don't have a clue what that is. Bad Girls Club?
I'm not going to try to guess. I have no idea.
I don't know who that is.
I was going to say the Jonas Brothers.
Jonas Brothers.
There's only 3 Jonas Brothers.
I don't know. The Beatles?
Wait.
The Beatles. Like 3 or 4 of them guessed that NSYNC was the Beatles.
I'm like mortified. I find this mortifying. Like, that is so embarrassing. I would never want to be on camera saying that kind of thing.
The Beatles, though. I get them not knowing the Spice Girls, because the Spice Girls kind of do. That picture did kind of look like the Bad Girls Club. But they knew the game was called the 90s, and you guessed NSYNC was the Jonas Brothers, and then took this hop over to the Beatles. The Beatles. I'm sorry. That one just still bothers me.
60s. I'm so confused.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't even in black and white. Like, if the picture was in black and white, then I could be like, okay, well, you threw them off with that one. But I just don't get it.
Right. Did you just think we got colored TVs in 2020 or 2001 or something? Like, what are you talking about?
I don't know. Thank you, because I thought it was just me. This one stressed me all the way out.
I'm
so
gonna
yeah,
just
the
say,
disrespect was real.
they should have known. I mean, Justin Timberlake is a star still to this day. So, like, how do you not he's got, people. Yeah, like, he's famous now. He's literally famous right now. So I don't understand why this is even a question. Also, really quickly, Donnie gave us $5. I think he gave us. What?
Right.
Britt?
It's not like he's even old right now. Like, he's famous and he's still young. We're not talking about, like, oh, well, Denzel Washington's still famous, but he's old. We're talking about Justin Timberlake's, like, in his 30s still, I think. Like, come on, give me a break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is outrageous.
Cry me a river.
Exactly.
I totally agree. I was so upset about that. The Justin Timberlake songs are still in commercials. They're still in movies. I don't understand what just happened, but what else? Okay, so clearly I'm more upset about that than I should be. But the Knicks are super excited to have Obi Toppin, and I think we all are excited to see what's happening over there. They have already called him a force to be reckoned with on Twitter. They posted a tweet with him in his college days saying he's a force to be reckoned with. But I think it's amazing that Obi has been a Knicks fan his entire life. I think Chris, I don't even think was a Knicks fan his whole life. Was he? I don't think so. So look at this IG picture, though, and tell me how adorable this is, and maybe somewhat tragic to see him as a child in his Knicks gear. He's so cute. I love this. There's part of me that loves it so much. There's another side of me that says this is bad parenting, but to see him now actually as a Knicks player, I think it's just beautiful. Again, this is the cute post up until now, because now we're getting into the not so cute stuff. So go ahead, Britt.
No, it just shows how, like, the reasoning why he started crying. I don't know if you guys watched the draft at all, or the clip of him when he got drafted by the Knicks and he was bawling like a baby. Like, it was for a second, I'm like, oh my gosh, is he crying because he's like with the Knicks, you know, and like nobody wants to play with the Knicks? But like, no, he's crying because literally that was his team since he was a little kid, you know. So like to see that moment and then to see the little picture of him in a Knicks jersey, I think is like putting them together, just like, oh, like you've been wanting this and with that team your whole life, and that's like what you got. Like that is just the sweetest thing ever.
Yeah, I love those bookends kind of thing. We see LaMelo with his poem, and now he's in the NBA. We see Obi with his Knicks, and now he's with the Knicks. I love those bookend situations. It's super, super cute. All right, so now let's get into the not so cute. There's only one not so cute thing in Post Up today, but I know sometimes we've talked about trades a lot on every single show, and I know sometimes people don't really want to get traded. And I could see Al Horford feeling some type of way that he was traded for Danny Green, but that's a story for another day. But apparently, if you listen to his sister Anna, they will not miss the fans, because she posted this tweet saying that pretending to F with Philly was exhausting the most miserable fans in the NBA. And then she posted all these tweets that people had said to her. They called her a hoe, they called her out her name, they called her the B words, just a whole bunch of terrible, terrible tweets that they tweeted about her. But then this last user, he does have a point, because he said, you know, I'm sad to see, oh, so these are the ones these are rough to read. Like as a female, they're just like, why you got to call me out my name like that? That just seems unnecessary. But this guy, he nailed it on the head. He says, I'm sad to see that people are attacking you in that way, but when you openly talk bad about a city and a franchise based on your own feelings, you have to expect it to come back. So I think that's exactly right. I'm not saying that she or any other woman deserves to be called out of their name because of things that they're saying, but I do think when you put this kind of energy out there, you got to expect it to come back in some way. Devin, what do you think? Do you think that she should have expected this, instead of saying that they're miserable fans, just kind of own the stuff that you put out there as well?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like she's been beefing with Sixers fans for a while. Like, this is not the first time we've heard of her doing this kind of thing. I do agree that the tweets that she shared are rough. They're really rough to read, and we get mean messages here, and I think I would say they are just as mean, the ones that Anna gets. But it's like, it's hard to read and it's hard to fathom that people can be so vicious. But I also think that she kind of antagonize them by saying like, oh, finally, yeah, I don't have to F with Philly fans anymore. Like, she knew what she was doing. So I'm kind of, in the middle here. I think people should be nicer. She also needs to realize that when she says something like that, people are going to come for her.
Yeah, and I'm real good about when people come for me. I'm real good about tearing you down without calling you out your name. I think use your words, people. Like if you can't tear somebody down without, calling them the B word or something like that, then maybe expand your vocabulary a little bit more, because it just sounds better when you do. But that's just me. So we've been seeing a lot of these city uniforms, and the Celtics have released their new city uniforms. They have Jaylen Brown modeling theirs. I actually really like it because I think it's basic. I like kind of the minimalist thing with most things in my life. Like I said, it is pretty basic, and they're trying to model it after their 2008 championship. So Leo, if you could throw that picture up there. I like it. I mean, it's definitely basic, but I like it. I'm alone because Twitter does not. They went in on this jersey, and this one user said, living in the past, of course, and then Jesus Thesis says a dude whose last championship was during the Nixon administration. Okay, fun fact, again, if you're going to slam people, slam them correctly. The Nixon administration was like in the 70s. They won in 2008. So say Obama administration. I'm just throwing it out there. This next user just shows a dump truck and says that they're trash. And then this last user says that it kind of looks like, it's a poverty franchise. I don't think that it's that bad. Can we throw it back up there really quick, Leo? And then I want to ask the ladies. Britt, I know you can't see it, so let me ask Devin. Is it that bad, or is it just too basic?
I think they could have gotten a little bit more creative while still taking that same inspiration. It's definitely not my favorite jersey I've seen, but it doesn't deserve the dragging that it's been getting. But I wouldn't say it's good. I mean, I don't like it. I don't like it. It is too simple. It's too basic. No, they could have made it a little bit more, I don't know, creative and fun, but instead it just looks like a poster board or something.
Well, it is. It's the poster flag thing on a jersey.
I know, but like make it a little bit more jersey-like. I don't know. To me, it's just too basic.
Yeah, I mean, I think that my favorite one so far is the 76ers. I really like theirs because there were some hidden messages in there, so they really got creative with that one. So I get it. I get it. Somebody in the chat says this has 19 written all over it. Maybe that's what that user meant because they clearly had the administrations wrong. All right, so let's jump into this next one. So the Seahawks and the Cardinals, their game was sealed with a sack in the fourth quarter against Kyler Murray. That game was actually pretty good. We know that Russell has been struggling. Kyler was out there playing through an injury. It's actually a pretty good game, but people seem to feel some type of way about this moment that Tyler Lockett had with a ref after he got his touchdown. And then there's a nice little fist bump. It's real quick. You got to kind of really pay attention. Bam. Now, I get it. Now, in my head, I'm just thinking this is a ref that, he's reffed a couple of these games. They get to know these guys, and maybe perhaps he has them in his fantasy football. That was his first and only touchdown of the night, so he might have needed that. Like, thanks, bruh. But I don't know. Britt, I know. Did you see this, Britt? Before I ask you about it, did you see the video of Tyler Lockett fist bumping the ref?
No, I didn't see it. But I do have not a lot to say about it. It's crazy though. I think just because then, like, say there comes a point in a game or even later in that game where there's like a controversial call and we have now footage of something happening from before. Like, I remember when we had the replacement refs in the NFL and how terrible they were that season, when the refs were on a lockout. And they had all these replacement refs that were posting stuff online about even betting on games. They were posting like, I get to ref my favorite team today and all this kind of stuff. And it was like a madhouse because refs are supposed to be, non-biased and all of this kind of stuff. And so I get you have, we have situations, we've seen it in the NBA as well, where like refs will say a little joke with like LeBron or with somebody, whatever the case is. But I just think that kind of stuff needs to be like not happening. And sucks because they always do. You just have to be the bad guy and have to be like the mean person or the person that everybody boos and doesn't like, and they never get like, oh wow, that was a great call, ref. Like, you hardly ever get moments like that from refs. It's just when they're doing something wrong, you suck. But when you're doing something right, well, that's your job kind of thing. So I get that they want to have those moments, and we've seen refs kind of do that to cringe a little bit because say we do get to a point in a game where it needs to be made and, maybe the wrong call was made where they come back a couple days later, which they've done in the NFL quite a few times, and say that ref made the wrong call, but then earlier in the game we see the fist pump with the ref and yada, yada, and it just kind of can create some unnecessary drama if something were to happen like that. So I don't love it, but I understand why guy all the time. I personally have some of my favorite. I have a favorite ref. Everybody has refs, that they like, but other than that, they hate refs in general. And nobody really is like, oh, those refs are just great. Nobody really says that. So I get that they want to have those moments of like, hey, I'm a person too. Like, I think things are cool too, or whatever the case is, because they just have to live this life of like, oh, that was in my life, and I have to act like I don't care. I couldn't imagine.
Yeah. No, I get it. I've seen refs do things that I'm like, okay, I have a problem with that specifically. I've seen Tom Brady on the ground and a ref literally run over to help him up. I have a problem with that kind of thing, but just a little fist bump after you make a touchdown, like I don't have a problem with it. It's a game. It's whatever. I've seen players do it after somebody makes a touchdown. They're on opposite teams. We've heard them mic'd up and say, oh, you got me, bro. Like, that kind of thing should happen in a game. Don't do it when there's a controversial call. I get that part because this was just a clear touchdown. There was nothing weird about it. So I didn't have a problem with it, but I get why people would, people always got to find something to be mad about these days anyway. So I get it. But so here we are again. We're going to end with some, Right, especially with refs, yes. So we're going to end with my favorite cute brother duo. I will never, if I ever do a cute kids award, I'm going to have to exclude these kids because they would automatically win for me every single time because I just think they are so adorable. But you guys have seen him here in the post up before. Little Jalen is back with his big brother. He tries to set pick and roll, but there's too many defenders. Yes, I saw it all in my head, but I'm not going to tell you any more about it. Just watch the video. It is super cute. I love these two. I love how he sets the screen on the most gigantic defender I've ever seen in my life because he was way on the other side of his brother. I love these two kids. I love that they have this basketball relationship. And I hope that one day we're going to be showing these videos and then saying that they've been drafted to whatever team. That's my personal goal. We won't still be on the Fumble, but somebody is going to do it. So that is my personal goal. All right. But before I get out of here, I want to talk to Who Dat Nation and tell y'all what we not going to do for a quick second, because I've been seeing us all over the Twitter and the Instagrams, as my mom says, and we seem to be mad. By we, I mean y'all, because I'm not personally mad about this situation. Now, we know Drew Brees is out. He has another injury. He has multiple rib fractures on both sides of his chest, and then his right lung has collapsed. So it's all bad. So a lot of us were expecting Jameis Winston to take over for him. I know I was, because he took over for him when he got hurt anyway. And they primarily used Taysom in running plays and like trick plays and things of that nature. So I don't think any of us had a question that it was going to be Jameson that got that starting spot, but we were wrong because Jameson is not getting that starting spot. They are making him the backup to Taysom. Since Jameis has been with the Saints, he has been 7 for 11, none of which are interceptions. I know that's the first thing that people ask. He hasn't thrown one interception. Taysom has gone 4 for 5, also no interceptions. So here's the thing, though. I know people are upset. I have a tweet that I want to throw up. People are saying, why are we doing this? Why are we throwing up this guy that hasn't really been passing a lot for us? So this is the consensus in Who Dat Nation right now. It says Jameis is the explosive and spark needed for the offense while Drew is out. Dumbass decision. Okay, and then this next person kind of echoes that same sentiment and says massive L for the Saints, and then they're acting like Winston didn't have the most passing yards last season. Okay. Absolutely right. Jameis did have the most passing yards last season, and I definitely think he's doing great here. I think that his whole demeanor seems to be better with us than it was in Tampa Bay. So I agree with all of that. But what we not gonna do is pretend that we forgot that Sean Payton has had a man crush on Taysom Hill for a while. He called him the second coming of Steve Young. Not only that, they signed him to an extension through 2021 that is worth $21 million, $16 million in guarantee, and $1 million in incentives. Jameis' contract is $1 million. He got $148,000 in signing bonus, and $952,000 is guaranteed. That's his base guarantee. So that you got to go where the money is. Your job is to say, okay, look at my investment. Clearly, because of this extension I've given Taysom, I believe that he is the quarterback that's going to take over once Drew Brees leaves. I get a lot of us kind of saw what happened with Teddy Bridgewater, and we probably have a love for Jameis that we want that the same to happen to him. I get that. I think that's beautiful that we have that. But you got to see where your money is at. Is your money, are you going to get a return on your investment? You have this opportunity to see if this is going to check out. You have this opportunity to see if you've made the right call, to made the right investment. You have to. I get what we want, but you have to start Taysom Hill. There's no other ways around it. This is how it was supposed to go. So do not panic. Not only that, the way that our system is designed, it's designed to interchange those two. So if Taysom runs into problems or he starts fumbling and throwing a bunch of interceptions, Jameis can go right in there. That is how our system is designed. They're interchangeable. That's our system. It's been that way since they brought Taysom in. Even with Drew, it's interchangeable like that. So please don't panic. Please don't start tweeting out anything crazy. We need to get back out there and support Taysom because we do play Atlanta. We play them Dirty Birds on Sunday, and we need to make sure that we win. And if you feel like just throwing some evil sauce out there, just throw that at Tom Brady and the Buccaneers so we can go ahead and take a bigger lead in the NFC South. But what we're not going to do is pretend like we didn't know this is how this had to go. Who Dat Nation will be fine. Okay? That's all I have to say about that. I am done with what we not going to do, and now it's time to get my girl Devin up here because it is time for Britt's Takes.
Britt's Takes.
You guys have no idea how crazy that sounds with my glitch. It's like it goes on, and it's like an echo version of it. But thank you guys for the remix of the remix. It is time for Britt's Take. We are talking quarterbacks over here at Britt's Take too. So we talked about what we not going to do. We're going to continue that energy in this situation, but we might not be okay. She said her team's going to be all right. My team might not be okay because I'm talking about my Dallas Cowboys. If you guys follow me on social media, I made a bet, a very big bet with you guys this last weekend. I asked anyone who wanted to bet me $1,000 that the Dallas Cowboys would not lose this last weekend. You know what? I won because we didn't play last weekend. So we didn't lose because we didn't play. We have a record of, what are we, 2-7 now? Terrible. We're still in it, though. We're still in it in our division. Since Dak Prescott went down, we actually have had a quarterback roster. The first one being a man named Andy Dalton. Now, Andy Dalton, I thought was going to come in and it was going to be not a super squad, but I still thought, you know what? This guy's been a starting quarterback in the league for like 9 years. I mean, he should be able to do something, right? He did a couple things, and one of them was get a concussion on October 25th, and then right after he got a concussion, he got COVID. So we had our bye week this last week, which was good because we have, again, like I said, we've had 4 quarterback changes since Dak Prescott went down, and we have been trying to figure out who our quarterback is going to be. We were trying to also be healthy and concussion-free and COVID-free and this, that, and the third. And now we're here at this moment, and Andy Dalton decided to speak. Has been happening to him the last couple weeks. So again, he suffered a concussion on October 25th and has now stated that he has suffered from memory loss. There are a lot of things that he can't remember right now. October 25th, we actually showed the video at the time of what happened. There was this huge thing about the fact that the Cowboys players did not go out there and defend him in that moment. Usually if there is an illegal hit, which he did get kicked out of the game for. So yes, it was an illegal hit. And then to have that situation be not fought for is pretty unheard of, but I personally did understand it. They didn't really know Dalton. Whatever. It's a bunch of these younger guys that don't know what they're doing, don't know how to be on a team, whatever it is. But that's difficult for him because he still can't remember stuff. And then obviously, like I just stated, shortly after that, him, his wife, and his children all got COVID. So now we have Andy Dalton going into our weekend. We are playing the Vikings this weekend. The Vikings are actually 2-6 against the Dallas Cowboys. We usually always are not cousins in particular because you guys know we used to see Kirk Cousins in the NFC East when he played with the Washington football team, and now he's with the Vikings. The Vikings apparently decided to just get good out of nowhere. They started the season off really bad, and they are actually right now have the longest win streak in the NFC right now. They've won 3 consecutive games, and they've all been divisional games for them, which is huge because that is very well needed, especially in all these divisions that are getting pretty close. But Kirk Cousins never plays well against the Dallas Cowboys. So we are going into this week thinking, you know what, maybe the Cowboys can get it back together. We're coming off a bye. We should have been able to figure out our quarterback position. But then Andy Dalton comes out and says he can't remember stuff, he still cannot smell, and he still cannot taste anything. Those little things can throw a quarterback off a little bit, especially the memory part. I don't know about you, but there's a large playbook in NFL for quarterbacks to learn, and if he can't remember, so we have no idea. They keep still around who I have no idea who we are playing, who we're starting this weekend. This guy, and then obviously what we heard of late last night with Andy Dalton's situation, it's probably not going to be him, even though he is clear for his concussion. We all have known that, but he is not. His memory has been bad. So then it goes to the point of, okay, we have been this season talking about COVID, and what it can do to these players. And we've literally forgotten the whole thing called CTE that these players are getting too. And we can't test players for that until after they die, and then test their brain to see if they've had it. And this moment is kind of crazy to me, especially Andy Dalton. He's been in the league for, like I said, a decent amount of time. And I'm honestly worried for him. I like literally, I clearly don't care about the season anymore, like for the Cowboys. I'm not worried about that, but like to see a situation where there's, like we talk about it with the NBA and with baseball, like, oh, COVID, all this kind of stuff. But these NFL players are going through more stuff than any of the other leagues are, because they do have to deal with the potential of getting CTE. They do have to deal with their contracts being, of all the teams, the only ones that are not guaranteed at all. With the NFL, not the National Football League, but not for long, because most know the average NFL career is 3.5 years long. So while we can continue to sit here and talk about how other leagues and how hard it is for all of these other leagues and stuff, and what are they going to do with blah, 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 let's remember what the NFL has to deal with. Like, the NFL has been dealing with stuff 20 times worse than any other league has ever had to do. And for them to even remotely be close to, like, we're in the season now, for them to even get to this point is literally miraculous to me. We've all seen all the players that have, been out for the season. Jesus hurt now too. There's so many guys that literally have gotten injured this season in the NFL, and it really is like, can we stop and take a moment and, we talked about on Weekend Zone, which you guys will see yesterday, about Jamal Adams and him speaking out about his, bouts with depression and stuff like that, and just the negative outlash that he got from that. And looking at, like, Andy in a couple weeks of each other, and he's still considered decent off compared to all these other guys that are out for the season, or guys that we know have, like an Antonio Brown, who we know is probably, after he's done with his career, going to have tons of problems, more so than now, because the man has CTE. There's not one question in my mind. I've watched Antonio Brown's entire career, and to see what kind of player he was and teammate he was early on in the first 9 years of his career, and then to see what he's been the last year and a half, something's wrong. You don't just decide to be this one person for all this time and then automatically change at the end. So can we please, on social media, you guys, be kinder to these athletes, because what we saw with Jamal Adams is not cool. The stuff that I've been seeing people message, like guys like Andy Dalton or guys like Antonio Brown, or really anybody in the league in this time, even Des Bryant, all this kind of stuff. Like, these NFL players, we side to NBA more because their faces are more seen and we see them more often and by name more. But these NFL players are really going through it, have to deal with so many things right now. It is not just COVID like the other leagues have to deal with. It is so many other stuff that we've been just letting scoot under the rug for years and years and years, and we need to address those and not acknowledge that, and realize that this NFL league is way harder than any other league, and the fact that these players are continuing to fight it out, I think, is amazing. We have a couple minutes, Jackie. I'll go to you. What are your thoughts on even players returning to the field after Andy Dalton saying that like I stuff like I have me last year and whatever, I don't remember it ever happening. Like, what are your thoughts about him, even though he's free from his concussion protocol? Like, what are your thoughts about him even getting back onto a football field at this time?
So I wouldn't do it if I was related to him, if he was my husband or whatever. I wouldn't want him to do it because I think we know enough about CTE now to know if you can't remember it happening, if you can't remember certain things, then there's a lot still going on, and we know what the long-term effects of that are. That being said, though, we also know that a lot of these football players, obviously, if this CTE was a concern for them, we wouldn't even have football because they're all going to experience it, that moment in some way. And we've even heard athletes. I think I did a story a couple months ago about all these athletes that had a concussion, and they did this interview with them, and they said, hey, what's going on with you. There's another athlete, I can't remember his name, but he was on the McAfee show, and he was like, I have to take notes on everything now because I can't remember everything. So and he's like, I think he's 32. He's like, so they're telling me, by the time I'm 50, I'm probably going to have an 80-year-old mind, and for him to know that, and then to say, hey, if knowing that now, I definitely would love to be more active in, say, my kid's life, my grandkids' life, things of that nature. But even knowing that I probably won't be able to be, I still would have played football. To know that these guys have that kind of mindset, I think that anything we say just doesn't matter. This is the game that they love. They know the consequences of playing what they love. It's well documented. I've even heard players say that they would love to just die on the field. Please don't do that because that would be traumatic for us as fans. But they've literally have said that they would rather do something like that. So then the question really becomes, okay, well, yes, we know the guys want to play regardless of their injuries. Do we let them play? So I wouldn't, especially to Andy Dalton. And I don't think that's fair to say because in my mind, I'm like, I wouldn't let him play because y'all ain't going to the playoffs, you know what I mean? So why are we risking this man's health where you might and then just get blown out? I don't know, but because your division is really weird. But it's not worth it to let him put himself at risk like that, and it doesn't mean anything. But then even hearing me say that out loud, does it mean it's okay to let him risk himself if it does mean something? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like for me, the answer would be no if it's my loved one, but I understand the mentality of these football players and I know that they want to play. So I don't know. It really falls on the league. Do you stop a guy from playing? Do you say, hey, the fact that you can't remember this is alarming. We're not going to let you play the rest of the season. We're going to make you get more testing because we still don't understand CTE well enough while you're alive. We only know a lot about it once you're dead. We're going to throw you into a mandatory study program. We're going to observe you to make sure that you are okay. You can't play for the rest of the season. That would be a really forward-thinking process of the NFL. It's not going to happen, though. So I think it really comes down to if his doctors say he's okay and he wants to play, he'll probably play.
Devin, to Jackie's point, for instance, with COVID right now, there's a lot of people who believe like, oh, that's not going to get me and I'm invincible or like it's whatever. And they don't want to wear masks. They don't want to social distance. But we've put mandates as far as the state's concerned. They've set certain here, the set and the mask. At what point does the NFL, the people, hey, us as medical professionals are not going to continue to allow you to harm yourself, even though you might think you're invincible. We know that you are not safe doing this.
So in a perfect world, I think that medical professionals absolutely should make those kinds of requirements. I really do feel like they should step in and make sure that everybody is being as safe as possible. But ultimately, everyone's an adult, and so the decision has to fall on them. And I think that definitely sucks. We've seen that government ordered mandates are not necessarily working. Even with those in place, there are still a lot of people, a lot of businesses that are not following the rules. So it feels virtually impossible to get people to just do the right thing. But yeah, in this case, I do feel like it would be wise for medical professionals and health professionals to step in and say, you guys, we're not going to allow this to happen. But I don't really think that they actually have that power, which is unfortunate. And it sucks that like keeping everybody healthy and safe has to be such a divisive issue. I seriously cannot wrap my mind around this at all.
Mm-hmm.
I think we are going to wrap up the show. I don't know if Britt's on anymore, but let's wrap up the show, you guys. Don't forget to subscribe and tap the bell. Leave a comment below, share this video with your friends, and check into Weekend Zone tomorrow and tune in on Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for another live show with the lovely ladies of the Fumble, and we'll see you guys next week.